Welcome back once again, friends. In this video, we are going to take a very quick tour of the replit.com environment. I say this is a quick tour because we are just going to learn just enough to keep moving. I assume that before you undertake this, you have already created a Replit account. If you have not done that, please do it now. Assuming that you have created a Replit account, let's get started right away. So first thing we do is to go to replit.com on the browser. Now over here, now that we already have an account, we can choose to log in. Of course, for creating an account, we must to sign up. But now that we have an account, we can choose to say login. Now, when I do login here, I get to choose my username. So I'll put my username and my password. So I'm do that. See. Okay. And with that, you notice that I've signed in. Now, sometimes when you sign in, it might ask you to go through a verification step. It might show you some kind of images which you have to recognize, right? So to do that, it's not a very painful thing. So now I'm in my account, and how do I know that I'm in my account? Well, notice that on the top left, I should see my Replit account name, right? So here it's Byte Learning. Now, in case you're wondering, how did I get this kind of cool color scheme and stuff? Well, remember, it's just a scheme. This is a theme that I've set. If you want to change yours, notice this little, arrow kind of thing next to the username. Click on that. You will get to, choose your profile and account. Choose account, and over here in account, you can go and choose the preferences theme. I've chosen spooky. Right now, it doesn't really matter because this is just how the whole thing looks. It's going to behave exactly the same no matter what preference you have, right? But anyway, this is how I've done it, right? Now notice here that there are lots of resources for you, for example, to learn. There's curriculum, so there's example projects, there's an entire community. There's a lot of material on the platform itself for you to explore. I encourage you to do that. However, for now, I'm just going to get you started in terms of what we are looking for. Now remember, we are primarily here to do coding in Python. So we are going to see how can we create a project to get started, right? Now for that purpose, I'm going to point you to this particular button over here. Notice on the left side, there's a button called create right under my username, right? So if I click on this create, it says creating a REPL. Now REPL is basically like a project, right? So like we discussed, REPL, the platform itself allows many languages. So you can see all of them listed here. However, we are interested in Python. So I'm going to just choose Python from this, right? So I say official language Python. And in fact, it mentions to me that's using Python 3.8, right? Now, I will, give a title to my project. So creating a REPL is like creating a project. If I do not do that myself, then you get a title by default, right? But I suggest you give a title. So for example, you can say first project, maybe. I mean, any title that you like, right? But let's say I do give this a project title. And then all I have to do is to really just click on create REPL, right? This takes a while. So it may look like nothing is happening, but in fact, things start to happen, right? It says, for example, working. It's basically creating a Python environment for you, right? For you to get moving on, right? Now, notice here that the moment this thing is completed, you're going to see a lot of things on your screen. So I'm just going to tell you the main parts of it, right? Basically the sort of most important elements of it, yeah? First thing first, there is this entire area which says not sure what to do, run some examples, start typing to dismiss, right? Now this is where we are going to be writing our code, right? It says main.py, and this is where we are going to start writing our code, right? We'll see what to do here. Of course, learning what to write here is the main purpose of our being here anyway, right? Whatever we write, we want to execute that. So for that purpose, we are going to use this button called the run button, right? So if I click on this run button, whatever code is written in here will get executed, and the output of that will be visible on the console, right? So this is how this whole thing goes. These are the important parts of it, that I write my code here, I run it using this button, and the output is seen over here in the console. On the left side, I also have these files, and there are some bunch of settings. You can explore those. But for now, like I said, to get started, this is all you really need to know. Yeah. Before I wrap this thing up, there are a few things I want to mention, right? First thing first, I assume that many of you are coming in from a Scratch background, right? So let's just do a small quick comparison, compare and contrast with the Scratch platform. In fact, the reason I'm doing that is because it's quite illustrative, and it tells us a lot of similarity between these two things, right? So notice, when we had the Scratch platform, right? So we did something very similar. We logged in first, which means we log in into our account. We see the username on the right side here. Then we click something called create to come to this project workspace, where on the left side we had these code blocks, but we had this entire area where we used to write our code, in the sense that we used to use drag and drop blocks to sort of create our code, and the output of that code we could get by clicking on this green flag, right? When we click the green flag, this code would run, and the effect of that would be seen over here in the in this playground area, where the sprite will do whatever we had been telling the code to do, right? So if you just do a little bit of compare and contrast, you will see that in fact this is quite similar. We are going to write our code here, click this run button, and we are going to see the effect here right now. Obviously, the difference is that we do not see code blocks, because now we are talking of text-based languages. Python is text-based language, which also means that we do not see this list of commands available to us, right? So that sense, this is what we are going to learn, but you see a lot of similarities, right? Now, in fact, there's one more similarity, which is that remember, in case of Scratch, we had something called my stuff, right? So if I clicked on this thing over here, it will take me to all the projects that I have done in the past, and that was quite useful, because then we could look at what are the different projects and so on and so forth. In fact, we can do something very similar in Replit. All we have to really do is that we go in here and we just click on, let's say, our own username, right? Once we go in here, it will show us all the ripples that we have created, right? So we just created one ripple called first project. Whatever ripples we have created will be listed here. In fact, you can just click on this again to go back to that website, right? So for now, like I said, I encourage you to explore. There's lots of things in here. There's settings that you can try. There's, like, for instance, let's say, the entire tutorials and community learning and so on and so forth, which you should try, you should explore. There are lots of videos out there to learn about Replit, but this is just sufficient for us to get started. The important points are that we are going to write our code here. We are going to use this button to run, and the output will seen over in this window, right? And this, in fact, like I showed you, is quite similar to what happens in Scratch, right? So I think that correlation is good to make always. Yeah. All right. So with this, I hope you are somewhat clear about this platform. Do explore, do enjoy, do learn, and of course, like I always say, enjoy this whole process. Yeah. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.